Guys, it's Fresh Mark Sense and another fresh review. Today I'll be reviewing Roses and Chocolate by Mancera. Now this is a floral and chocolate scent, more of a red rose, a powdery, creamy vanilla scent mixed with some dark chocolate, and it has a mix of a lot of other Mancera fragrances, but I think this is a very wearable chocolate and rose fragrance. And the vanilla is fantastic. So let's get into it. Fresh Mark Scents. One of the first questions you might be asking is it similar to Choco Violette by Mancera? And I would say no, because this is a more milky chocolate concoction with a melon note in the middle that supports the lactonic milky vibe of it. It's quite unusual how the melon brings that sweetness, but it sort of holds that sweetness, and there's a little bit of hazelnut in it, but I believe that the hazelnut is more pronounced in Roses and Chocolate Mancera, but there is a hazelnut present in here, and it is present, but it isn't prominent as much as milk chocolate and lactonic milk vibes are concerned. Now, Roses and Chocolate has a dark chocolate note. This is what differentiates it from Choco Violette. The dark chocolate note is similar to Tom Ford's Noir truffle note. I would say it doesn't come off as dark because Tom Ford Noir has civet and leather note to give it a bit more pungency and the caraway, and it gives it almost like an anise aromatic vibe, but the truffle note is definitely similar in the darkness of the chocolate note in Roses and Chocolate. Prominently, I get dark chocolate off the top with some very, more, would I say powdery? No, I'd say sweet rose, sweet creamy red rose. So I find this a very romantic scent. I chose this out of the samples that I discussed before in another previous video. But I chose this because I found it very romantic, and the vanilla note stands out as well. So you get the dark chocolate, the red sweet rose, and the vanilla is prominent throughout. So it's an undertone, but it's prominent throughout. And I wanted to mention that the dark chocolate note is similar to the dark chocolate used in Wild Candies, slightly more similar than the Tom Ford Noir, but because Wild Candy is mixed with peach and other more fruity notes, it doesn't come off as strong, and Tom Ford's Noir is similar, and it's sort of a cross between the dark chocolate of Wild Candy and Tom Ford Noir, but I suspect it's probably the same dark chocolate note, but it's separated and not mixed with all the other notes as is Wild Candy. So, onto the fruity notes of the perfume. I mentioned earlier that there were fruity notes and that Wild Candy had a peach note. Now, this also has a peach note, similar to Wild Candy, but it comes off a little bit more juicy and similar to Wild Python. Rather, it's closer to Wild Python than Mancera's Wild Candy peach note. Although it could possibly be the same thing because it's the same brand, but I find this note slightly more juicy and closer resembling the Wild Python peach note in its juicy round, almost you get that peach skin note. So the peach skin mixed with the red rose gives it a very velvety characteristic. I was going to say powdery, but it's more velvety and a sweet red rose. And the vanilla, I was going to compare it to Wild Candy, but the vanilla in Wild Candy is a vanilla pod, which gives it more of a rounded ice cream vanilla note, and it almost has the iciness because the bergamot makes it juicy. So it's a very interesting perfume, but I find that the juiciness of the pear is subdued a little bit, but you still get that sweetness, but mixing the velvety texture, of the peach note with the red rose produces a very sweet, sweet, delicious, gourmand, delectable fragrance. In terms of you could almost eat it, you could almost eat the chocolate. Yet the chocolate note is not juvenile, it's a dark chocolate note. Yet it opens with a sweetness like milk chocolate, but it transforms itself into a darker chocolate. And that vanilla note is fantastic. It's quite a linear perfume. It doesn't change too much, but on the skin, on the skin when I spray it, let's get a good spray. Sorry guys, I didn't even, that is a big spray. Now the projection on this is massive. I was smelt as soon as a friend of mine just came through the door, and I was smelt straight away, complimented on, wow, what is that chocolate smell? I feel like I'm like in a chocolate factory, but it's softer. It's something else mixed with it, but I don't know what it is. It's sweet. It's smooth. It's very almost relaxing because it has that memory of eating chocolate, because it's so realistic in that chocolate vibe. Instantly when you spray it, you get a little bit of that peach that almost resembles apricot in its sweetness, and that velvety character kicks in. But what I really love about this chocolate is that it never turns juvenile. And longevity, I would say I've worn it at nighttime and I still smell it midday the next day. So, and then I thought, I'm gonna have to have a shower now. But at 12 or something, I think that was the latest just to test it, and it was fantastic. Even after I scrubbed myself, I got a little bit of that dark chocolate musk vibe. So this turns into something else in the next notes. It actually turns a little bit more fruity, and that's the reason why I brought Jardin Exclusive along. Although the fruitiness of Jardin Exclusive is like much more when mixed with the caramel and the other notes, the floral notes of it are actually quite similar. The floral fruity notes that you get, apart from the caramel, you do get a little bit of that fruity violet musk mixture that I thought was prevalent in wild musk. I'm yet to smell that, but wild musk had a fruity notes mixed with musk and violet, and the creaminess of the violet is definitely in roses and chocolate. But at the end, it turns slightly more fruity than Jardin Exclusive. I mean, this is just fruit and caramel, but in the base, it turns fruity like the middle of Jardin Exclusive, but without the caramel. And remember, it still has that velvety, smooth rose note. So in the end, it comes off a little bit fruity, tiny bit fruity. You get that musk, which is a clean, soapy musk. And the dark chocolate is always there as a small tinge of choco musk, because it would smell clean, a little bit fruity, and have that dark chocolate alluring scent that would make people want to come closer and draw people closer to smell it and think, where is that sweetness coming from? So it does have a mysterious vibe. It's almost like the more reserved version of wild candy. Wild candy says, come out here and smell me. I'm wearing chocolate, peaches, vanilla, all sorts, and it just says smell me. It's very out there, and it projects and it cuts through the ear in its very outstandingly varied gourmand notes that are so unique that nothing else will smell like it. But this would instantly make somebody think, oh, who's got roses in the area? And when you come closer, you'd be like, oh, it's roses and chocolate. Maybe it's a bakery or something. And it slowly draws you in. It's still bodacious in its unique red velvety character and chocolate musk mix. But I'd definitely say it's more of a soft pull than a throwing yourself out there as the chocolatey and fruity concoction. I don't know if you are a chocolatey and fruity concoction, go for it, you know. And I love wearing this because this actually makes me feel like I have all of those scents on me and almost edible. You know, it's that very smooth. Oh, I gotta smell it again. It's that dark chocolate that gets me. The dark chocolate with the vanilla mix. Yes, the dark chocolate and vanilla mix is very edible, and it makes me feel almost pampered, as though I've drenched myself in dark chocolate and some sort of vanilla bath. It's very gourmand, very browny, dark chocolate, and almost gooey. When mixed with the vanilla ice cream note, it's just fantastic. But I'd say it's much more attention grabbing. I would say wild candy is more outstanding in its varied notes, in that it would cut through the atmosphere because nothing else would smell like it. But roses and chocolate is its more subdued, sensual brother, let's say, that would give a soft pull towards you and allure you with the roses and softer sense of chocolate. Not really, it does project, but it's more of a medium projection after, I'd say, 7 hours. So it does project throughout the whole room, but after 7 hours, it does calm down. Whereas wild candy is a very unusual scent, and some people might be like, oh wow, why do you smell like candy and everything? You might be going out somewhere special, but it does make you feel like you're going to a celebration. And this has a more romantic vibe, where I would say it's more suited for dinner and more softer occasion, let's say dinner and small parties, whatever. In terms of a clubbing scent, like going out there and really expressing yourself, it does have that fruitiness, that playfulness that you could wear, and it would be a very nice scent bubble to emanate from you, very relaxing chocolatey scent bubble. But I'd say this is best for night out. If you're gonna meet someone, if you're going to spend a night in with the one that you love, something very romantic, a dinner, you can go out with this. And I would recommend it if you want compliments. It would be a great compliment getter. And the longevity is no slouch. 7 hours, I think. I think it's the most wearable rose fragrance. There's a lot of other rose fragrances like Platinum Egoist. That's a red rose fragrance, and it's very, but it's a bit cold. And I would say that this is better for romantic occasions. It almost has an ultra male kind of soft rose appeal, but it's a little bit sweeter with that chocolate note. And I might actually mix the two. That's quite a good idea. If I want to go overly sweet and be that sort of, I don't know, chocolate teddy bear or something, you know, the super gourmand, edible kind of fragrance guy who, you know, would love to smell things that are edible. So go for it, guys. If you want something edible, romantic, soft, alluring, I think roses and chocolate is a great reach. If you want something that is, if you're new to Mancera as well, actually, and you want something that's outstanding for a going out fragrance, that would also be great for a date night. So check it out, guys. Mancera roses and chocolate, not roses greedy or anything like that. Roses and chocolate. So check it out, guys, and stay fresh. Take care.